It's another beautiful day in Oklahoma, Sooner Nation. And I'm glad to have you guys tuning in because Oklahoma, you guys have been seeing On3 pushing out a lot of scheduled visits for a lot of recruits. Oklahoma's been on a lot of those lists. And you guys might have questions where Oklahoma stands, and I'm going to try to fill you guys in as best as I possibly can. So appreciate y'all tuning in. And as you guys can see here, a couple of you guys have asked, I am wearing a hoodie that says dad on it. So you can put two and two together. The wife is pregnant. So what does that mean? I need y'all to hit the like and the subscribe button because, listen, we got to pay for all the baby stuff somehow. And listen, those little interactions, liking, subscribing, jumping in the comments, it actually really helps. It pushes the videos out to other people. It gets that YouTube ad revenue up, and then, hey, helping buy a little bit of diapers. But let's go ahead and let's jump into it. Wait, before we do that, softball podcast should be dropping Friday morning. We're a little late on getting that out, but I believe we might be having Drew come on to record that. So just look for Friday morning, Friday afternoon. You guys will see it come out, and we'll talk about the previous week and this upcoming week's games. But we got to talk about some of these visits, and I think it's only appropriate to start with a 5-star, right? Right? Jump in the comments and let me know. But 5-star offensive lineman Michael Fasusi, and this is one that you guys know we've had him here on the podcast. We've talked about him quite a bit. According to Sam Spiegelman, these are the visits that he has set up. Now, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're looking at this list and you're going, well, dang, because you got Missouri, LSU, A&M, Texas, Oregon, Colorado, which you might be saying, what does Colorado have to do with an elite 5-star offensive line? Well, they landed one in Jordan Seaton last year. And, I mean, listen, regardless whether you like it or not, Deion Sanders, he's an attraction for a lot of these players. So, especially if you're want to potentially increase your NIL value while you're in college, being on Deion Sanders' team as you're there on that team and you're producing on the field, your NIL value will only skyrocket. So, looking at Michael Fasusi here, obviously Oklahoma's only got one day, and that's April 25th. And a lot of Oklahoma fans are going, well, why is that? Because that doesn't seem like good news, right? Well, let me explain to you here. A 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman. He runs a 5-flat 40. He's a lot of guy that coaches look at and say, he's probably a day one starter if he shows up to a lot of programs. And he's almost a 5-star across the country consensus. Here's the deal. He's been to Oklahoma multiple times. And when I say multiple times, On3 is 4 visits logged. I think it's somewhere up into maybe the 6 or 7 range. I know sometimes some of these visits don't get logged, right? I think it's up where in the range of maybe 6 to 7. And he's got a former teammate in Jaden Hardy on the Sooners. Oklahoma, if you ask me today, they're the leader in this recruitment. Michael Fasusi, it seems like to me he's got to find a reason to not come to Oklahoma because he's been to Oklahoma, I feel like, more than any other program. The relationship with Oklahoma, I feel like, is better than most. And so if you're in those shoes, at this point, you just got to do your due diligence and check the boxes and say, all right, what can some of these other programs offer me? And the thing is, some of these other programs that he's going to look at, again, they produce good offensive linemen, like LSU. I know you guys don't want to hear it, but Texas and Kyle Flood, they're going to be putting out some first-round offensive linemen upcoming here. Oregon, and I believe the offensive line coach out there is Tony Kupto. They do a really good job. And then you got Phil Loadout we're at Colorado coming from Oklahoma under the Bill Bedenbaugh tree. So I understand this list. A lot of people are going to look at the Missouri one and go, oh, NIL. Listen, Missouri is really good at building relationships. I actually got a chance to catch up with Fasusi after that visit and kind of dive a little bit into, what he thought about that visit. Like why was Missouri such an attraction? And really it just came down to, he said, Missouri is really good at building relationships. Now, if you've watched this show or you've watched Jay's show, I've talked a lot about Missouri and said, hey, we're going to find out this season whether it was Drink or whether it was the assistants that have left Missouri that made Missouri good. So, if I'm an Oklahoma fan, I'm not worried about Missouri in this recruitment. In fact, I'm more so worried about Oregon and Texas. Those are the two schools that would compete with Oklahoma that I would be worried about here. But you guys know I have a prediction in for him to land at Oklahoma. And we're going to continue to roll with that prediction unless something drastic changes. I believe Michael Fasusi will end up being an Oklahoma Sooner, but good to know that he's coming on campus. Now, another prospect that's coming on campus, one that's recently caught a lot of Sooner fans' eyes, is the safety Marcus Wimberly. And you look at Marcus Wimberly and you go, okay, we're looking at Jonah Williams in the safety class as well. You've got a couple other targets. So the question is, who is going to be the first safety prospect? And let's just say not named Jonah Williams, because if you get Jonah Williams, it definitely takes away, like, you're only taking one other safety. Who's going to be that one other safety prospect to commit? And a lot of people are looking at Marcus Wimberly. I believe he's got, according to 247, 88.9% of the crystal balls currently submitted. He's got them from Steve Wiltfong, Danny West, which Danny West is from the Arkansas Insider website, Bryce Marich, who is from the Michigan website, Steve Lorenz, the Michigan website, and then Teddy Biddy, who is on the Arkansas website, still has his in for Arkansas. But a lot of Oklahoma crystal balls. Here's why a lot of people feel really confident in Marcus Wimberly. It's because when you talk to Marcus Wimberly, he feels really high. Like when he talks really highly about Oklahoma. Him and his dad both do. That's not to say that is a clear indication that he's going to end up a Sooner. But when a kid talks highly about a school in that way and they get all giddy about it, you can pretty well get a good indication that the staff has made headway. They have the good relationship there. And with Marcus Wimberly, it's a guy that plays baseball and competes in track and field. Now, I don't know what kind of baseball prospect he is, but we all know if you get Skip Johnson in on this recruitment, I mean, Skip Johnson could go 2 for 2 with safety prospects this year for Oklahoma. And Skip Johnson has been a crucial part to Oklahoma football recruiting. Like, I think that is an underrated recruiter alongside Brent Venables that we haven't really been looking at. So Marcus Wimberly, he has his visit scheduled for April 9th. So that's one that Oklahoma fans are going to be watching. And then you saw another official visit scheduled. Now, we talked about the first one the other day with the 4-star edge rusher Isaiah Gibson. He locked Oklahoma in with 4 of them, with Clemson, Oregon, and there was one other school in there. That's big time. The question is, if we take Max Granville and you get CJ Nixon, is Isaiah Gibson still a take, right? So I really think right now that edge room, there's a lot of upside there. It's just a matter of who's going to commit first, because I think you take CJ Nixon regardless. So that mainly only probably leaves one spot for Max Granville or Isaiah Gibson. Or do you take both of those guys and then take Nixon? Listen, I'm glad that I don't have to be Miguel Chavis in those shoes, but you saw another official visit scheduled here for Cooper Perry, the wide receiver, 4-star guy, currently crystal balled to end up at Oregon. When you look at him, 273 rushing yards, 26 rushing attempts, 3 rushing touchdowns, 150 receptions for 2,229 yards, 290 yards, 38 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Cooper Perry, dynamic athlete. He's got offers from A&M, Miami, Colorado. All of those are recent. I think his total of 25 plus offers. I believe this is one of his only official visits, or maybe his only official visits that's scheduled. A lot of people are looking at Oregon, Arizona State. He's a kid out of Scottsdale, Arizona, so you understand why Arizona and Arizona State might be a little warm there. But Tom Loy, a guy that really doesn't favor Oklahoma a ton, picks Oregon in this one. He's getting an official visit to Oklahoma. Obviously, we know Emmett Jones does work, but we also speculate there's only one wide receiver spot left. So you kind of ask yourself, is Cooper Perry going to be able to commit after his official visit if he wants to be an Oklahoma Sooner? Or is Emmett Jones going to drag this thing out to see, like, what a 5-star Caleb Cunningham want to come join Oklahoma? Do you take a Jacaden Ferguson? Obviously, a lot of people are looking at Mosey to Oregon. So, is there another prospect that Emmett Jones would rather have? Like, what is the timeline for taking another wide receiver? Interesting, but good enough. Oklahoma got an official visit there. And then you also saw a prediction come in from Josh McCuistion over at Sooner Scoop with On3. And this is for the 2026 cornerback, 5'10", 160-pound dude here out of Bethany, Oklahoma. And Evanson, and I believe it's pronounced Malaska. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I hate getting these names wrong. He is the brother to Jocelyn Malaska, who just recently transferred from Utah here to Oklahoma. Evanson has been offered. He has attended the Brent Venables camps in the summer. So you would imagine if Josh McCuistion is putting in a prediction here, it's probably all but a done deal that he's going to land at Oklahoma, right? Homegrown kid, brothers here. You just imagine that Oklahoma would be the leader in this recruitment. So good news there. Obviously, Oklahoma's booming on the recruiting trail. That's what this comes down to. You're seeing recruits want to lock in those visits. And I really feel like we're starting to see here at Oklahoma what Dabo and Brent Venables were doing at Clemson, where they built their classes early, they got elite talent in, and they were able to recruit and goes balls to the wall for those 5-star and high blue chip or top 100 players towards the end of the cycles, right? Because they had the majority of their class built out already. And they already had those recruits to help them recruit. They were able to, so it really feels like that's what we're getting to. And I really feel like over this season and next season, you're going to see a change in the dynamic of how this team plays, how Brent Venables plays guys that are coming in the transfer portal, coming in on the recruiting class, because we know they don't want to rely heavily on the transfer portal. You still have to play that game because there are guys in there that you definitely need to get on your team if they hit. But I think, like, let's say this 2025 class, right? I think you're going to see a lot of these guys come in 2025 class, and you won't see them play till 2027 because 2025 class wouldn't, their first year would be 2026. You wouldn't probably see them till 2027. And I think that's because you're starting to get this depth into the program where you're able to sit guys for a year, let them learn a system, let them grow, let them develop, and you've got 2-3 year guys that can hit the field and start for you. That's where, and here's the other deal. And I want to make this point with Michael Fasusi because obviously we're looking at other 5-star and high tier offensive linemen. If Bill Bedenbaugh puts Tyler Guyton into the first round, and you already had Anton Harrison last year, that's 2 straight first round picks. Let's say a guy like Jacob Sexton goes in the first round next year. That's 3 straight for Bill Bedenbaugh. Players are already noticing that he's going to put 2 in a row. Imagine what the impact's going to be when he puts 3 in a row, and then maybe 4 in a row, right? The impact of what Bill Bedenbaugh is doing with development of players, it's not going unnoticed. It just takes time, guys. And you have to trust the process. Just like Philadelphia 76ers fans have had to do just to get to a winning record. I know they haven't won a NBA playoff, but, they've won series, but they have not won the championship. They trusted the process. They got a really good player, an MVP, and they're competitive every year. If you're Oklahoma, you got to do the same thing with Bill Bedenbaugh in the offensive line. You got to trust the process, understand he knows what he's doing. And obviously, I really like the pairing of Seth Luttrell and Bill Bedenbaugh. I think it's a good pairing to go out there and recruit offensive linemen. But you guys will have to let me know down in the chat below. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like, you hit the subscribe button. Hey, YouTube wants you guys to watch one of these 2 videos down here. They're made for you guys. So